I started to think about, okay, I have an opportunity here to stand on the outside. And there were other things, they wanted to build a huge landfill over one of our biggest water aquifers in Hawaii. All of our water comes from groundwater. So, I and a whole bunch of other people, we went out and got petitions and we organized and ultimately, thankfully, we were able to get that project canceled. But it got as far as it did because of a politician who was kind of in the pocket of the landfill company. And so I started to think, I can stand on the outside and hold a sign or circulate a petition, or I can try to put myself in a position of influence and decision making to directly impact a lot of these environmental issues that I really cared a lot about. And that's what led me to run for State House in 2002.
How old were you?
I was 21. And my dad, that was the first that my dad ran for city council that same year. So it was kind of fun for us to share. He ran for city council out in Waianae. Mm-hmm. And I was running for State House in Ewa Beach. And so our districts, they didn't overlap really, but they were adjacent to each other. But every morning it was like, okay, my mom would pack a lunch and send him out. And I went out and we were sign waving every day and knocking on doors every day for months. But that was both of our introduction into running for office at the same time. And for me, it was a totally foreign experience because I had no, formal education in it. I was not a part of a debate team, had not been trained to public speak in any way at all. And on top of all of that, total 100% introvert. I had my circle of friends growing up, but I was so shy, and I was fine with it because I just hung out with who I wanted to hang out with. But anybody outside of that, I would not. I wouldn't talk to people. I'd make my sister go out and talk to people, and I'd read books and do my martial arts and yoga and just do my thing. And so to then choose to put myself in a position where I'd have to learn how to give speeches. I'd have to figure out how to pick up the phone and call total strangers, which was anxiety inducing in and of itself. But not only do that, but ask them hey, would you like to donate to my campaign for State House? To then go I'll never forget the first day I went to go knock on doors. I knew enough about, I'd done enough research to know, okay, if I'm going to run for this seat, I'm going to run to win. And in order to do that, I have to convince this many people to vote for me in order to win this race. And so I had the math figured out, and I had the voting list, people's addresses and names, and literally got on the computer, made this black and white kind of janky brochure saying this is who I am. And so I had, copies of that I went and made at the copy shop, and I sat in my car. It's a aqua colored Geo Metro, 2-door Geo Metro, on Old Ewa Beach Road in Waipahu. And it took me about 30 minutes in the car to summon up the courage to go knock on that first door. And I was terrified, absolutely terrified, just thinking of every scenario that could possibly go wrong. But also what are the first words that need to come out of my mouth? And then what if they ask me this question? What if I don't know the answer? Just all of these different things. And one knocked on the first door, and this wonderful old Filipino lady answered the door, and she's like, hey, how are you? She's wonderfully kind and offered me a glass of water, and the whole thing's oh my God, okay. Then went through the whole scenario all over again for the next door. Mm-hmm. Whole scenario, every single door was a major obstacle for me, and ultimately why put myself through this, and how did I get through it? It really just that groundedness and the ability to step way outside of anything I was comfortable with came from that desire to serve, and knowing that ultimately reminding myself why do you care so much about yourself? This is not about you. If you wanted to do something for yourself, you would certainly not be doing this. You'd be out surfing right now. And that was that was my introduction into elected politics.
So you won. Did your dad win?
I won, and he won. Yep. And my mom was serving. She served 1 4-year term in the Board of Education. So for 2 years, from 2002 to 4, the three of us were all like serving in different buildings, all in the same kind of quarter square mile area in Honolulu. It was fun.
And obviously, you liked it at some level. You liked the impact that you were able to have because you carried on with this sort of life.
I never once thought, when I won that election, it was a 5-way Democratic primary first that I had to get through, and then a general election that I got through. I liked the impact, but I never once thought that I want to have a career, quote unquote career, in politics. I was absolutely not attached to that. I thought, okay, hey, this is something I can do now, and I'll make the most of it. And then, we'll see where it goes. And I ended up serving just 1 term there because of Iraq.